So you do not need to wait for the problem to show up in order for you to solve it, but he who controls the seed actually controls the nation itself. So true independence comes from controlling your own seed supply. Planting precision is not optional. It is actually the foundation for your pest and weed control. Hello, Samson here. Welcome to today's segment of book reviews where I was reading another interesting organic agricultural book, The Sustainable Market Farming. This is by Pam Dawling. It's actually the second edition that I had to read, and there are 6 major lessons that I got to take away from the book. Pay attention to lesson number 6 because that is where most of the money that you want to make from organic agriculture is going to come from. So diving right into the book. The book is divided into 2 parts, and the parts are divided into a lot of sections, but there are 6 major sections that I got. And the first part is dealing with your crops and how to grow, the farming techniques basically that are behind you as a grower. And then Section 1 is talking about planting, and this is the first lesson that I got on planting, is that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. A common saying actually that is so she opens with all year round production, where you need to systematically plan everything that you want to grow and have a predictability of the harvests that you're most likely to get from there. So market gardeners do not wing it. They actually build systems. And then the major takeaway from the whole section on planning is the fact that you need to treat your crop plan as a living document that is actually going to give you a guide for every decision that you are going to put in the soil, that is from seed up to your harvest. The second lesson that I got, this is from section 2 of the book, is on planting. So you need to establish for success. So planting and establishing for success. So direct sowing, summer sowing, and sowing in different seasons, all of them actually broken down into different subtopics where she is explaining how to do the technical work that is there. So when you pay attention to sowing depth, sowing timing, and so the seasons that actually come with your agricultural venture, then it's actually going to pay you off at the end of the day. And then the takeaway is that planting precision is not optional. It is actually the foundation for your pest and weed control. The third lesson is the fact that you need to have sustainable crop protection. So this is an ounce of prevention. So where you're talking about seasonal extensions, there is called hardy winter vegetables, and all of those coming into play. So you do not need to wait for the problem to show up in order for you to solve it, but you need to design a rotational system that is actually going to be a variety of the choices in vigilance that you have in order to have prevention in place. And the takeaway is that prevention through crop diversity is something that is going to serve your enterprise and your production. So things that have to do with monitoring are far more effective than having to do with reactive measures when the problem arises. Lesson number 4 is that soil and crop quality. So feed the soil, not just the plants. We've been talking about feeding the soil for the most part, and because organic agriculture focuses most of the times on feeding the soil, this is where the heart of the book actually lies. So where you need to maintain your soil fertility. So she says that the right cover crop strategy is worth more than any single harvest that you could have. And the take away from there is the fact that every practice should actually aim at building soil structure and biological life, because that is where the long-term profitability lies. If you need long-term profitability, then it's supposed to be built in the soil and its structure. Lesson number 5 is the fact that harvest and beyond. So the work isn't just when the crops come in. That is what she's talking about. So you need to develop a system for post-harvest handling of your valuable goods and your produce, without which you're most likely just going to have them perish. So the takeaway is that a great crop that is poorly handled actually gets you to losing money. But then you need to build harvest storage protocols that are going to help you to store your produce for harvest, for market, and you need to be able to get your money from there, without which you're going to lose actually most of it. And lesson number 6, which is the major lesson that I got to take away from the book, that is organic seed protection and production. So this is actually closing the loop. What happens, or what's supposed to happen, is that there is need to partner up with seed producing companies which are dealing in organic seed production. If you are going to pass on the genes of open pollinated varieties of different kinds of plants that you get to produce and you get to make money from it, then there is need to actually consider being a seed producer. There is a saying that goes like, he who controls the seed actually controls the nation itself. So true independence comes from controlling your own seed supply. So when you become your own supplier of seed, then you're truly independent as an organic grower. And the takeaway therefore is that growing your own seed saves you money. It preserves your regional adaptation of the kind of crops that you are growing in your specific region, and you can become more profitable in the long run. So you need to start with like easy crops that you're able to actually handle, and the techniques are there on how to go about with handling different seeds. So some of the money for organic agricultural production is actually found in seed growing and production of seedlings. So this is a sustainable market farming by Pam Dawling, second edition. Till we meet in the next segment, I am checking out.